I don't know about you, but the news that Bungie has decided to split from Activision while retaining the rights to the Destiny IP is still fresh on my mind. As their press release reads, plans are currently in motion for Activision to transfer publishing rights for Destiny to Bungie, which means that for the first time ever, Bungie will become completely independent from other companies and fully own their very own IP, one that they'll have complete creative control over without external corporate oversight or influence. And the developers are ecstatic, to say the least, having cheered and popped champagne once the news was relayed. Something similar happened back in 2007 when Bungie parted ways from Microsoft, but the difference there was that Microsoft kept the Halo IP while Bungie pursued their own venture. This time, Bungie will take their creation with them and do with it as they please, which is pretty big and unprecedented news. And while there's a lot that could go wrong with this transition, fans are also optimistic that this newfound freedom could mark a fresh start for the studio and the franchise. Activision is fully on board with this process too, which should come as no surprise given the publisher is desperate to cut costs at every turn after a rough financial performance in 2018. And with the Destiny franchise and their partnership with Bungie not having been as fruitful as they'd hoped, it's no surprise that they would be happy to sign them away. However, for the publisher's investors, this has become yet one more concern to add to the list, leading to the company's stock to take another nosedive. Looking at this market summary from Google, you can see that in the hours following the unexpected announcement, Activision stock dipped by a whopping 11% at its lowest valley, which by my calculation marks a loss in shareholder value of about $4.5 billion. While it's hard to say for sure whether Activision made the right long-term business move by cutting ties with Destiny and Bungie, in the short term it's possible to see why this abrupt development is cause for concern. Even if Destiny wasn't the most profitable of ventures for the publisher, it was still a sizable revenue stream that the company will no longer have. It doesn't help matters that, looking at Activision's active IPs, their library of profitable franchises is drying up, with the publisher becoming more and more dependent on their flagship product, Call of Duty. Everything else from Tony Hawk to Guitar Hero, you may recall the company ran into the ground through their neglection of quality and their obsession with monetization. While they do have a few other recent releases and upcoming titles to mix things up, like the Crash and Spyro remakes, as well as the upcoming Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, there is no denying that the company is riding on Call of Duty's relevance to maintain their current level of profitability at this point. This explains why the publisher has been so keen on bolstering product output from their other major source of revenue, Blizzard, who have been mandated by Activision to cut costs and reinforce their development teams so games can be produced at a faster pace. Many developers within the studio have expressed anonymously to media outlets their disdain towards the internal culture shift this initiative is causing, as the traditionally independent studio is no longer able to go at their own pace and take their time to pursue high-quality, long-term products. Pressure to focus on quantity over quality. Activision seems to expect Blizzard can just keep churning out games that will meet the success of titles like Overwatch or World of Warcraft. But what the publisher doesn't seem to understand is that successes like these are many years in the making and cannot be rushed. Making the situation worse for Activision is the optics surrounding how, at the start of the year, the company lost 2 of its chief financial officers. Activision CFO Spencer Newman had apparently been poached by Netflix before the publisher decided to terminate his employment for breaching his contract by meeting with another company during his tenure, and Blizzard CFO Amrita Ahuja, who had only been assigned to the post since March 2018, decided to leave the company to join the mobile payment company Square. While we don't fully know the circumstances behind their departure, in both cases we are looking at 2 executives who seemed rather eager to jump ship, so much so that one of them went out of their way to meet with another company seeking new employment, despite knowing that they were contractually forbidden from doing so. This all comes in light of a rocky 2018, during which Activision Blizzard faced a wave of backlash following their tone-deaf announcement of Diablo Immortal during BlizzCon 2018, shortly after which Activision reported during their financial briefing that Destiny's Forsaken DLC had disappointed in its financial performance and that the number of monthly active users across all their franchises had lowered a bit, causing the company's stock to plummet. Even Call of Duty Black Ops 4, which actually sold very well at launch and continues to sell well, disappointed investors because it only performed similarly as past entries rather than well beyond them, despite featuring a Battle Royale mode, which is all the craze these days. Investors likely hoped and expected that Black Ops 4 would experience a success akin to Fortnite, but in the end, it sold about as well as one might expect from a Call of Duty entry, leading to the perception that the series has peaked as far as financial growth is concerned. After all, investors aren't looking for a stable company, they're looking for one that can show signs of indefinite growth, and the second they sense signs of stagnation, they'll pull out to seek investment opportunities elsewhere. There is also the matter of financial analysts having expressed concern over what a light year 2019 looks to be for Activision due to a lack of major releases beyond the typical annual Call of Duty release, a franchise that's beginning to lose steam in the eyes of investors. Currently, the only two other upcoming games that have been officially confirmed for 2019 are Crash Team Racing and Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, neither of which are bound to profit to the satisfaction of Activision and its investors, and neither of which will bolster monthly active users across the publisher's franchises significantly enough. As for prospects regarding Call of Duty 2019, many are predicting that Infinity Ward is working on Modern Warfare 4, but how much hype that will generate and what its sales will look like remains to be seen, and that uncertainty only further contributes to uneasiness investors and financial analysts feel surrounding the current state of the company. So all around, Activision has hit a trench that they're currently struggling to get out of, and their desperation can be tangibly felt through their numerous cost-cutting ventures, from their reprioritization of Blizzard to their parting of ways with studios and IPs. Now, from gamers and developers' point of view, Bungie and Destiny split from the greedy game publisher couldn't be a more joyous occasion. While there are still many questions about this split, to which we don't know the answers to, and while Bungie still has a long way to go before they can fully regain the trust and goodwill they've lost over the years, fans and enthusiasts feel as though this could all signal a fresh start and a reset button for the now independent studio and creatively unrestricted IP. If Bungie can take cues from other acclaimed self-published companies like Digital Extremes and CD Projekt Red, if they can make their primary focus the satisfaction of consumers, transparent communication, and the passionate production of high-quality games, they could quickly rise to become among the best and most beloved game development studios and publishers, as they certainly have the resources and manpower to achieve great things. However, given how little we know about this split and what this all really means for Bungie and Destiny moving forward, it's far too early to celebrate under the assumption that the best is yet to come. I would approach this whole situation with cautious optimism, as there is currently no assurance that Bungie won't royally screw up somehow, especially given many of Destiny and Destiny 2 screw-ups can in large part be attributed to decisions made by Bungie rather than Activision. At the same time, there's a renewed sense of optimism in the air, especially now that Bungie no longer has to adhere to Activision's contractually enforced annualized schedule mandating an unreasonable interval of releases, one of the most crippling aspects of Destiny development that forced developers to rush content just to meet deadlines, hence the array of mediocre expansions. With these restrictions now lifted, they'll be able to take all the time in the world to ensure every update and new piece of content is as good and substantial as it can be. While this will likely mean new content will be more sporadic, at least each one will be worthwhile, and I don't know about you, but I'd rather have a handful of great releases than a bunch of mediocre ones. So all around there's a whole lot of potential to this unprecedented situation for consumers, but it's up to Bungie to make the best of their newfound freedom and pave the road to a brighter future for itself and for Destiny. Activision will no longer serve as a scapegoat for any of their potential mistakes and problems. Bungie is now completely on its own, and with that liberation also comes a greater amount of responsibility, both in terms of the workload they'll have to handle to maintain their operations and the renewed sense of optimism that recent developments have given to their community. Only time will tell how seriously Bungie will take that responsibility, but in the meantime, I think many of us can at least say in solidarity, good riddance, Activision. May the scummy publisher's financial prospects continue to suffer as long as they keep underestimating the importance of consumer loyalty and goodwill, and one can only hope that the trend of game studios that are suffering from publishers' restraints being granted sweet release will become a more common one. Though I wouldn't hold my breath, as a publisher relinquishing IP rights to a diverging developer is an incredibly rare occurrence. Anyway, that's all the information I have to share on this matter. I'd love to hear what your take is on the split and the stock price nosedive this caused for Activision in the comments below. With that, I would like to end this news update. Thank you for tuning in. To be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.